Hello everybody, this is going to be another one of those timey-wimey videos. It's the 5th of March today, 2021, and you probably won't get to see this video until possibly not even until the autumn, maybe late summer. We'll see how things go. This is an oak project that I want to grow into a large trunked tree, and it's grown from an acorn, and originally started out in a smaller pot and then obviously upgraded it into this large, well, it's sold as a large seed tray, but as you can see from the this is a full-size Coke can. It's a big seed tray, and I'm growing this tree on, and what I'm going to do now is set it up for this year's growth. I want to clear away a load of the gack that's accumulated on top of the pot, bits of debris from trees from my neighbour's garden, seeds and the like, and then shorten back some of the branching, and then we'll let it grow wild for another year. Okay, so I'm just going to scrape away, there's a lot of detritus. I've got some big old trees that overhang from next door, and they shed their leaves and things, and it blows into my garden. The prevailing wind tends to blow down across the hills, and across their garden first and then into mine, so of course everything blows, into my garden, and that's not their fault. Just needs, I've got to clean it out. So anyway, done that. I'm going to get rid of a lot of this loose stuff, and then of course I'm going to add a top dressing of the controlled release. Please note, controlled release. I don't know why my brain keeps saying continuous release. That's the stuff I don't like to use. It is controlled release fertilizer. And again, the reason I put it on the top, if you're not to watch these videos before, is so that the fertilizer will leach down towards the bottom of the pot rather than being in the bottom of the pot leaching out of the holes. So I'm being quite generous because I want this tree to grow very big. I'd like to have a big old trunk on this tree, but I also want some taper, so I am going to be cutting it back. Going to add a top dressing of fresh bonsai soil. Just to cover up the fertilizer. Okay, so this tree is quite tall, but I'm going to sacrifice it all the way back down to this good fat bud here, because I want taper within the structure, and I could just let it grow, but then I'd essentially end up with almost a broomstick thickness tree, and that's not what I want. I want some taper. So I'm going to keep this bottom branch here and lose this one, simply because I just want to keep the one sacrifice branch going. Tidy that up a little bit, that's better. And then this sacrifice branch, I'm going to take off the side branches gonna take that off just here. There's a cluster of buds, and rather than put out lots of new shoots from that point, I'd rather it just continued going up in this direction, drawing the sap but also fattening the trunk. And then for the rest of the setup for this tree, I'm just going to shorten this back, shorten that, and then I'm just going to let it grow. Lots of feed, lots of water. We'll revisit it during the summer, as I said, and possibly through and into the autumn, so you can all see its progress. It's the 12th of July, and I've just been lefting. I've just left this large oak project to its own devices, and now, well, I want to keep this sacrifice branch, but I want to reduce it somewhat, because frankly it's getting in the way. Every time I go past, I'm catching my knee on it. So I'm going to just take off a couple of these side shoots, like so. I know it'll probably react a bit, but I just want it to grow this shoot to thicken this branch, and that'll help in turn thicken the base of the trunk here. And then what I intend to do is to shorten the top of this tree quite significantly. Let me see. I'm going to have to chop it twice, I think, in order to get the cut that I want. Just take off that big old piece. That's better. And then I'm going to cut it to there. And I'm going to remove a bunch of these other shoots, apart from this one, which I'm going to leave on again to help fatten the trunk a little bit. But I would like to encourage the tree to put most of its growth into this to fatten the base, and obviously these two buds here to start building a crown over the next 4 or 5 years. It's the 15th of August, and having a few issues with this large oak project. As you can see, the sacrifice branch that I'm growing from the base has been shooting up and up and up. But we're getting some powdery mildew on the leaves, which is usually a sign that the plant is too dry at the root. But we are also getting, and let me move you in a little closer, we're also getting these odd leaves that are turned papery and almost see-through, which I'm reliably informed means that the plant is too wet at the root. So that's a bit of a conundrum, to be honest. But in terms of where I chopped the tree back, we've had some good growth, although again it's got a bit of the powdery mildew on it. I don't spray if I can help it, so I'm not going to, but what I am going to do, well, pull out some of these weeds that are growing in the bottom. Let's move you back. I am going to remove this sacrifice branch entirely, because frankly it's been hitting me in the face every time I walk past this tree, and when I bend over to water it or look at it, I get a face full of it. So get rid of that. We have a little branch there which can take over perhaps, and another one here on the side which will also act as a a sacrifice branch. So pull out a bunch of these weeds that are growing in there. As I say, the compost seems very moist, so it's a bit of a conundrum as to why I'm getting the two different symptoms that are two different problems, but perhaps it's just the odd season that we've had. Let me know in the comments if any of you have had issues like it or have any ideas why it might be so. As I say, it's a confusing conundrum. Certainly in terms of whether it's wet enough. Sammy the snail obviously likes it and thinks it's wet enough. So who am I to argue with Sammy the snail? Okay, so next step for this tree is I'm just going to be cutting it back, and I'm going to cut it back quite hard again. I want with an oak lots of movement in the branches, and I could put some in with wiring, but I actually like a more natural look if I can. Unfortunately, I've left this a little bit long, so we have got some long internodes. Can't be helped at this point. Can't rewind the clock, so there we go. Give it a chop and we'll see if we get another little surge of growth before autumn. It's the 15th of October, and I realise I haven't added much footage to this large oak project, timey-wimey video, because really the tree hasn't done very much since I last trimmed it. Weeds have grown much better in the pot than the tree has, but we will see. It's fairly solid in the pot, so I'm not going to repot it next year. I'm going to leave it and hope it gets away early in the season. Of course, oaks are renowned as being fairly slow growers. Also going to have to do something at the top here, in particular here. We have a bit of a dead stub which will need to be carved back slightly, but we have 4 branches emanating from the same spot, which is obviously not what you want, so I'm going to have to remove some of those, but I'm not going to do that until the spring and leave a wound to sit open all winter. We've got a similar situation here in that we have 2 or 3 sets of buds all here as if they're going to pop. Well, I'm going to have to do a bit of bud reduction as well, but I'll make a video on that when I tackle that in the early spring. So really that's all I can say for this video this year. Sorry, it's not very exciting. If you're a first time viewer, there are many more, much more exciting videos on my channel, so don't be put off by this one where nothing much has happened. That's just a fair reflection of growing bonsai trees. Sometimes nothing much happens for a while, and you just have to persevere, and if you're like me, you have lots of other trees to work on. We've still got a nice little root base and some root flare, so this tree's still got plenty of potential. I'm hoping for a good size head on it at some point. It's been grown from seeds, so you know, all my own work, as it were. So that's it for this one, folks. Apologies it wasn't anything too exciting, but there are more exciting videos to come, I promise. And in the meantime, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, all those good YouTube things. Most of all, look after yourselves. Stay safe, everybody.